What if I told you she still thinks about you? Yes, even now, even after the silence. She watches your stories. She scrolls through your old messages. She remembers the way you made her laugh without trying, the way her heart used to beat faster just seeing your name light up her phone. But you won't hear from her, not today, not anytime soon. And that silence, it's brutal. It eats away at your thoughts, your confidence, your peace. You keep asking yourself, why did she vanish? Why is she watching me but saying nothing? You sit in the dark, replaying every conversation, every memory, wondering if it meant anything to her at all. Let me tell you something that might shift everything for you. Her silence is not the absence of feeling. It's the presence of fear, of pride, of emotional conflict. And if you don't understand the psychology behind it, if you don't understand her strategy, you'll keep hurting, keep chasing ghosts, and lose your power without even realizing it. That ends today. In this video, I'm going to give you something no one else will, a clear, honest, and powerful understanding of why she disappears. And more importantly, how you can take control of the game without uttering a single word. You see, so many men fall into the trap of confusion. They mistake silence for closure. But silence isn't the end. It's a test, a challenge. And how you respond to it determines who has the power. Let's be real. You're not just missing her. You're missing who you were when you were with her. You felt seen, wanted, valued. And now that connection is cut off with no explanation. That's not just rejection, it feels like erasure. But here's the twist. She feels it too, only she hides it better. So here's my question for you. Are you ready to stop living in the waiting room of someone else's decision? Are you ready to reclaim your peace, your pride, and your purpose? Because the truth is, you don't need her to reach out for you to rise. You don't need closure to move forward. What you need is the knowledge and discipline to navigate this silence with strength. And I promise you, once you understand the game behind her quiet, you'll never look at yourself or her the same way again. Let's begin. Let's be honest. Being a man in today's world can feel like a maze. You're told to be strong, but never too emotional. To chase love, but not appear desperate. To care, but somehow care less than she does. It's exhausting, confusing, and let's face it, sometimes it just feels like no one's telling you the truth. That's why this channel exists, not to sell fantasies, not to hand out cliches, but to empower men like you, men who are tired of chasing, tired of sitting in silence, confused, unsure of what went wrong or what comes next. Men who want clarity, not chaos, direction, not drama. If you're here, it means you're ready for more. You're done playing emotional games where the rules are always changing. You're done giving your power away in the hope that someone else will see your worth. And I get it. I've been there. I've been the guy staring at my phone, refreshing the same message thread, wondering if I should say something, anything. I've been the one thinking, if I just explain myself, maybe she'll come back. But here's the truth I had to learn the hard way. Chasing doesn't bring her closer. It pushes you further from yourself. So I made a decision. I stopped chasing and I started building. Building myself, my mindset, my mission. And now I share everything I've learned so that you don't have to keep wandering in the dark. So you can wake up every day with clarity, confidence, and a sense of control that no one, not even the person you once loved, can take away from you. This channel isn't just content, it's a movement. It's a weapon for men who are ready to take back their emotional strength. A place where silence isn't weakness, it's strategy. Where discipline isn't cold, it's power. And where you stop being the man who waits and start becoming the man who leads. So if this message hits home, if you feel that fire inside, even if it's just a spark right now, I ask you to do one simple thing: subscribe, like, comment. Not because it helps the algorithm, but because it helps this message reach someone else who's still in the dark. Another man who feels alone, who feels like he's losing his mind trying to make sense of mixed signals and broken communication. Together, we're building something bigger than videos. We're building a brotherhood, a generation of men who don't beg for attention, they command respect. Men who don't chase validation. They build lives so strong that people regret walking away. And it all starts with one choice: the decision to stop chasing and start rising. Let's move forward together. There's a war going on inside her, a quiet, invisible war. One you'll never see in her photos or hear in her voice. It's not the kind of battle that gets talked about, but it's real and it's intense. Every time she sits with her thoughts, alone, in the silence after the laughter fades, something happens. One side of her aches for you. She remembers the way you used to make her laugh when she least expected it. The late night talks that felt like you were the only two people on the planet. The way your presence made her feel safe, seen, understood in a way most people never even tried to offer. That longing doesn't just vanish, it stays with her, like smoke after a fire. It floats in the back of her mind when she scrolls through old photos, rereads your messages, or just hears your name in a conversation. And even though she may look fine on the outside, that ache is still there. But here's the part most men never realize. On the other side of her heart is fear. Fear that if she reaches out, you won't respond the way she hopes. Fear that if she shows even the smallest bit of vulnerability, you'll think less of her. Fear that maybe you've already moved on. That maybe, just maybe, you found someone better. Grown without her. And that fear, it's paralyzing. It's what freezes her fingers before she types a message. It's what buries every impulse to say, "I miss you." Not because she doesn't feel it, but because she's terrified of how you might respond, or not respond at all. And then comes pride. Pride is loud. It tells her that the first to speak is the one who loses. That if you really missed her, you would have been the one to reach out first. So instead she waits, hoping to see your name light up her screen, but refusing to be the one who appears weak. Ego turns that fear into a command. It says, "Don't chase, be chased." And so she stays silent, not because she's over you, but because she's trying to protect a version of herself that looks strong, untouchable, in control. But underneath all that armor is someone who's torn between what she feels and what she's afraid to show. So if you've been wondering why she's disappeared, why she watches but never speaks, it's not because she doesn't care. It's because she's stuck in that emotional battlefield. Longing versus fear, vulnerability versus pride, and ego. Ego is the general commanding the silence. Now here's the real question. Will you enter that battlefield, or will you let her fight her war alone while you keep walking forward with purpose, with peace, and with power? Because silence doesn't always mean forgetting. Sometimes it just means she's not ready to lose control. Here's something most men overlook. Silence isn't weakness. When used with intention, silence is strength. It's power. And in this emotional battlefield, your silence might just be your sharpest weapon. You see, the longer you stay quiet, truly quiet, not passive-aggressive, not waiting for her to notice, but genuinely centered in your own stillness, something starts to shift. At first, she feels control. She tells herself you're just being stubborn, that any moment now you'll cave in. She expects the late-night texts, the "I miss you" message, the little reminder that she still holds a space in your heart. That's the script most men follow. But when you don't follow that script, when the message never comes, the ground starts to crack beneath her. She begins to wonder, to doubt, to question everything she thought she knew about you and about herself. What if he really has moved on? What if I pushed away the only person who ever truly saw me? What if I lost something I can never get back? That silence, your silence, starts echoing louder than any words ever could. It fills the room she used to picture you in. It whispers during the quiet moments, when the crowd is gone, when her phone is still, and there's nothing left to distract her. And here's the truth. Silence doesn't just confuse her. It forces her to confront the very fear that kept her from reaching out. It strips away the illusion that she holds all the power. Because power isn't in who posts more, who smiles brighter, or who appears stronger online. Power is in who controls their emotions and who breaks under pressure. She was ready for you to chase. She was prepared for you to give in. But she didn't expect you to go quiet and stay quiet. She didn't expect the strength of your stillness. That's why it works. Because in a world where everyone is constantly reacting, messaging, explaining, defending, you become rare. You become the man who holds the line. And that kind of man, he becomes unforgettable. Let me be clear, this isn't about playing games. It's about reclaiming your emotional space. It's about resisting the urge to prove your worth through desperation. It's about sending a message without sending a word. I respect myself too much to beg for what walked away. So the next time you're tempted to break the silence just to feel something again, ask yourself, do I want to relieve her guilt or remind her of what she let go? Because every day you remain silent, the weight grows heavier, not on your shoulders, but on hers. And eventually silence becomes the very thing that brings the truth to the surface. The truth that losing you wasn't just a moment. It might have been the biggest mistake of her life. Now let's talk about something that most men never see coming. Her silence isn't random. It's not an accident. It's a strategy. See, it's easy to believe that because she's quiet, she's moved on, that the story's over, that you've become a distant memory. But don't be fooled. Her silence isn't proof of healing. It's not a sign of indifference. It's a move, a calculated move designed to hold on to control. She knows something most people don't talk about. She knows that in the game of emotional connection, the one who stays silent usually holds the power. Why? Because silence doesn't give answers. It creates questions, and questions create tension. Think about it. Have you ever stared at your phone, wondering why she hasn't said anything? Wondering what she's thinking, what she's feeling, whether she's hurting the way you are? That discomfort, that emotional spiral you feel every time you think about her? That's the effect of her silence. And here's the truth. She's betting on that effect. She's betting that your emotions will get louder than your discipline, that the anxiety will build, that eventually you'll break the silence. Not because you've thought it through, but because you want relief. You want closure. You want connection, even if it comes at the cost of your pride. She's betting that you'll move first, because if you do, if you send that, hey, just checking in text or react to her story with a little flame emoji, she doesn't even need to say much. In fact, she can ignore you entirely or send back a cold, one-word reply. And still, she wins, because your message confirms what she needed to know, that she still has influence over you, that you're still emotionally tied to her, that you're still waiting, still wondering, still hoping. And that restores her power, whether she wants you back or not. Now, don't get it twisted. This isn't about saying she's a manipulator or heartless. This is about human nature, emotional survival, pride, ego, and in her mind, reaching out first feels like vulnerability, like surrender. So instead, she uses silence as armor. She may not know what she wants from you, but she definitely knows what she doesn't want, to look like she cares more than you do. That's why silence is her strategy, not to heal, not to forget, but to see if you will crack, to see if you still care enough to chase what already walked away. So the next time you're tempted to break that silence, ask yourself, are you reaching out to connect or to ease your own discomfort? Because every time you hold your silence, you shift the power, you change the dynamic, and you become the man who doesn't fold under pressure, but stands still, grounded in self-respect. And that kind of man, he's unforgettable. You've seen the pictures, the glowing selfies, the girls' night out, the tropical vacations, the quotes about healing, strength, and moving forward. And for a moment, it punches you right in the chest. You start thinking, wow, she's really over me. It looks like she's happy, like she's thriving, like whatever you had, it barely left a scratch. But let me tell you something that very few people will ever say out loud. Social media is a highlight reel, not a heart monitor. What you're seeing isn't always healing. It's often hiding. Behind that smile, behind the confidence, behind the curated captions. There's often a storm she doesn't want anyone to see. Because when the party ends, when the phone is on the nightstand, and the noise fades into silence, that's when it hits. That's when the truth shows up. And the truth is, those posts, they're not proof she's moved on. They're a shield, a distraction. an attempt to convince not just the world, but herself that she's okay. Because the thought of being vulnerable again, of admitting that she still misses you, that scares her more than anything. She'll post pictures in places you used to talk about visiting. She'll wear that same lipstick you once complimented. She'll share a quote about self-worth on the same day she's crying in the shower because something reminded her of the way you held her once, when everything felt safe. And no one will ever know, because she's mastered the art of looking strong on the outside while quietly unraveling on the inside. And here's where your strength comes in, not in reacting, not in double tapping her picture or sliding into her DMS, but in understanding that her image isn't the whole story, that just because she's louder online doesn't mean she's happier. Sometimes the louder the post, the deeper the silence behind it. Ask yourself this: if she were truly over it, truly at peace, would she still be trying so hard to show the world she's fine? Real healing doesn't need to be broadcast. Real peace doesn't scream for attention. So don't be fooled by the illusion. Don't let a filtered photo shake the foundation you're building for yourself. Keep rising, because the man who stands tall in silence while she performs for the world, that's the man she'll remember when the lights go out. That's the man who becomes more powerful in her memory than in her presence. And when she finally faces the truth, that all the likes, all the parties, all the pretend strength couldn't fill the space you left, that's when she'll feel the real weight of loss. You didn't lose her. She lost a man who didn't need to prove his worth with noise. You just keep building, quietly, unshakably. Let's talk about the moment that changes everything, the moment you break the silence. You might tell yourself it's harmless, just a friendly check-in, a "hey, hope you're doing well." You think maybe it'll open a door, maybe it'll remind her of who you were together, maybe, just maybe, it'll bring her back. But here's the truth no one tells you. Every time you reach out first, you're not just sending a message. You're sending confirmation. Confirmation that you're still emotionally attached, that you haven't moved on, that she still holds a place in your heart, even if she's no longer standing by your side. And the moment she receives that message, something shifts. Not always visibly. She may not respond right away. She might not even reply at all. But inside, she knows. She knows that the silence wasn't too heavy for you, that you folded first, that she still has influence over you, and that right there is how she regains control. Because silence, your silence, was your strength. It was your mystery. It made her wonder what you were thinking, if you still cared, if she made a mistake by letting you go. But the second you text her, you answer all those questions, you kill the tension, you hand her the emotional leverage. You see, in a world where attention is currency, the one who seeks it first is often seen as the one who needs it most. Even if your intention is sincere, even if you just wanted to show kindness, what she receives is something else. She sees a man who couldn't hold his ground, a man who values emotional comfort more than emotional discipline. Now, let me be clear. This isn't about playing games. This is about mastering your emotional state. Because strength isn't found in how loudly you speak. It's in how still you remain under pressure. And if you break that silence too soon, too easily, you reset the entire dynamic. You return to the man who waits for a response, who refreshes his inbox, who trades self-worth for attention. That's not who you want to be. Instead, be the man who respects his silence, who understands that true connection cannot be forced back into existence through polite texts or polite desperation. That mystery creates memory, and memory is where real power lives. So before you hit send, ask yourself, am I reaching out to reconnect or to relieve my own discomfort? Because your message may bring you short-term relief, but at the cost of long-term respect. Let your silence speak louder than any words ever could. Because in that silence, you don't just protect your dignity, you preserve your power. Let's talk about something that separates ordinary men from unforgettable ones. It's not looks, it's not money, it's not charm, it's emotional control. See, powerful men aren't the ones who yell the loudest or react the fastest. They're the ones who can sit in silence and still feel grounded. The ones who don't chase what walked away, the ones who don't beg to be seen. They understand something most never learn. Emotions are signals, not commands. And when you master your emotions, You master the game, because here's the truth. Silence isn't weakness, it's presence, it's control. And when you stay silent, when you don't react, when you stop checking her story or wondering if she's thinking of you, you become something incredibly rare in today's world. You become a mystery, and mystery creates attraction, because what's rare becomes valuable. What's unpredictable becomes magnetic. And in a world full of men chasing, apologizing, explaining, you become the one she can't figure out, the one she starts to wonder about late at night, the one who grows in her memory instead of fading from it. Think about that. Most men, they reach out, they fold, they let emotions lead them like a leash, and women can sense that. But the man who holds still in the chaos, who doesn't let impulse destroy his peace, that man is unforgettable. And here's where it gets real. Women do not regret losing the man who begged. They don't miss the man who checked in every few days just to see how she's doing. They miss the man who walked away with grace, who rebuilt himself in silence, who disappeared into his mission, his growth, his life, and never looked back. That's the man who haunts her thoughts, not because he's playing games, but because his self-respect doesn't allow him to chase what doesn't choose him. That's strength, that's discipline, that's what emotional control looks like. So if you're hurting right now, if you feel that itch to reach out, to check her page, to say something just to relieve the pressure inside you, I want you to stop, breathe, and remember this. Every moment you resist the urge to act on temporary feelings, you build something permanent inside yourself. Character. You are becoming the man who isn't controlled by emotion, but who commands it. And that power, that calm, unwavering self-control, it doesn't just attract respect, it builds a legacy. So hold your silence, stand in your strength, and watch how the world and the people who once overlooked you begin to look again. This is your power, own it. At some point you have to make a decision, not out of anger, not out of pride, but out of clarity. A decision to stop chasing shadows, to stop living in the past, holding on to memories that no longer serve the man you're becoming. Because let's be real, the version of you who needed her validation, that man is gone, and he's not coming back. Today you step into something new, a mindset that doesn't ask, will she come back? But instead asks, who am I becoming without her? See, your life was never meant to orbit around someone else's absence. You weren't born to wait by the phone, to scroll through her photos hoping to feel something again. You were meant for more. And it starts when you rebuild around you. You take that energy you once poured into trying to fix the past, and you invest it into your mind, your body, your purpose. You don't just fill the void, you transform it into fuel, into fire. This is where silence becomes more than a tactic. It becomes your way of life. Not because you're punishing anyone, but because peace speaks louder than performance. Because stillness, when mastered, becomes power. And when you stop reacting to every emotion, every memory, every moment of nostalgia, you become unshakable. You start to walk with conviction, not needing attention, not chasing validation, but moving forward like a man who knows where he's going. Because here's the truth. When you build a life so powerful, so rich in purpose, she doesn't just fade into the past. She becomes a distant memory in a story she no longer has access to. And you don't look back with pain. You look forward with purpose. You no longer interpret her silence as rejection. You see it as redirection, a chance to become the man you were meant to be before you ever knew her name. Every second you don't hear from her is another second to level up. Another moment to invest in your future. Because the more you rise, the smaller her absence becomes. Until one day you wake up and realize she didn't break you, she built you. By walking away, she forced you to walk forward, to stop asking for closure and start writing a new chapter without her in it. That's your new mindset. You don't chase what left. You don't mourn what no longer fits your future. You rise, you evolve. You become the man she lost, and the man the world cannot ignore. And that is the man who wins. If you've made it this far, it means something inside you is shifting. You're no longer content with confusion. You're done being the man who waits, who wonders, who carries the weight of unanswered questions. And now you're stepping into something more, something powerful. Because this journey, it's not just about getting over someone, it's about becoming someone. Someone who no longer lets emotions run wild. Someone who doesn't react out of fear, out of pain, or out of impulse, but who leads with clarity, with discipline, with unshakable emotional control. That kind of man, he doesn't chase validation. He builds a life so full, so grounded, so purpose-driven, that the past no longer defines him. The silence no longer breaks him. And what once hurt him now becomes the very thing that forged his strength. And here's the truth. There are thousands of men out there right now, sitting in the same pain you were in, staring at their phones, doubting their worth, questioning their identity because of someone else's silence. They need to hear this message. They need to be reminded that they're not broken. They're becoming. That silence isn't punishment, it's preparation. That power isn't found in chasing. It's found in stillness, in self-respect, in walking forward without apology. So if this message resonated with you, if something in you felt seen, understood, lifted, I ask one thing: support this mission. Subscribe, like, comment, not for vanity, but for impact. Because every action you take helps push this message further. It helps build a brotherhood of men who rise, not beg, who lead, not follow, who heal, not hide. You are part of that brotherhood now. You are not just consuming content, you're rewriting your story. So go. Walk forward with silence in your heart and fire in your soul. Let your growth speak louder than your grief. Let your purpose roar louder than your past. And let the world see you not as a man who was broken, but as a man who became unbreakable. This is your power. This is your peace. And this is only the beginning.